This is Long Shots, VSiN's premier golf betting podcast. Here's Matt Brown, Wes Reynolds, and Kelly Bidlin.
It is Long Shots Golf Betting Podcast here on the VSiN Podcast Network. Matt Brown, Wes Reynolds, Kelly Bidlin. The band is back together here as we are going to roll up the old 15 to about 2 hours north of us here to Black Desert, one of the newest courses out there in America, and certainly one of the newest events on tour. Wes Reynolds, if you guys are not watching the video version of this, sporting his Colts hoodie as he should, because the Colts are rocking and rolling out there. Yeah. Kelly Bidlin, you and I got together this past weekend and watched some freak show stuff go down and everything. So I've seen you here recently. So good to see Wes, and glad to get everything back together, and glad to handicap some golf, fellas.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the Bank of Utah Championship, catch the fever. Everybody's got to be excited. Yes, step aside NFL, NBA opening night. Yes, take a back seat.
But 1 year to get a title sponsor for this thing was the Black Desert Championship last year, and just now straight up the Bank of Utah Championship here with this one. But Wes, it is we were sitting here talking, and just we'll get your breakdown of the course just itself. But as far as visually from a television standpoint and stuff, I mean, sure, when they do the overheads of Augusta and all of that, like, yeah, you can kind of feel what it must be like to be on the grounds at Augusta and all of that. But it's pretty easy to get wrapped up in the visuals of this course too.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's played at about 3,000 feet above sea level. Like you mentioned, Matt, just about 2 hours away from Vegas near St. George. It is in Ivins, Utah. And it was made out of what was a lava field. And so you have like these little black lava rock islands that surround the course, and some sand bunkers, but it is played at altitude, at elevation, like I mentioned, about 3,000 feet. So yeah, it looks spectacular. It looks pretty open. The scoring probably is going to be low, 23 under. Matt McCarty, by the way, was the winner of the inaugural event last year at around 66-1. So you had, I think, 12 rounds of 63 or better here over the course of the tournament last year. So you're going to see low to mid 20 unders is going to win here, but it's going to look great on television.
Man, I watched some of this video. What are we dealing with, fellas? I know we're dealing with a bit of a resort course, but are there houses alongside here too? Right, Matt? You kind of know the course, right?
Yeah. So it's really new, right? So there are lots that you can still buy, but it's not going to be like surrounding. It's not going to be like actually on the course, but there's kind of like a community.
You can spot some stuff in the distance.
Yeah, like a community that's being built around all of everything, but like there's not houses like actually on the course and all of that. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those deals where once I saw this course get built, I've never wanted to be a multimillionaire more so I could buy a property on the course, because let me tell you, the Airbnb because I from what I hear, they want to build a second course there, in due time. And there's already Sand Hollow up there as well, which is a super popular course. So I'm guessing old St. George is really going to put itself on the map, becoming a golf destination here pretty soon. And would love to have me a fat Airbnb up there. That's for sure.
Like, look at this house. For people that are, by the way, if you're listening to us, thank you. Please subscribe, rate 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever you can do. We always appreciate it. And if you're watching at YouTube, I'm playing some of the videos, and I think I spotted a great house for you, Matt. Look at that one, right there in the middle. That looks like it's
right there.
That looks like
that's perfect. We're like, nobody's around you. I don't have to talk to anybody. Like that's me. Like that's right up my alley. Like I don't have to see anybody. You're surrounded by your gorgeous lava rocks there, Wes, yes. And then you got the beautiful red mountains in the distance. Come on, you can go out to that green and putt after everybody's off the name of the game here. Just don't hit it in that black stuff on the screen. Don't hit it there. That's right. Yeah. Everywhere else, there's not a lot of danger on this course.
Yeah, and that's where we can go ahead and get this going here, Wes, with just the strategy here of this course. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see, I mean, it is, while the fairways are generous, if you are errant and you miss those, if you've ever played desert golf, if you've ever been to Vegas and played any of these courses out here, ball's going to be dead, and that is what we're looking at here at Black Desert as well.
Yeah, not a lot of water on this course. I think there's only 3 holes with any type of water here. All the par 5s reachable in 2. There's a drivable par 4 on each 9. 320-yard 5th, 322-yard 14th. There are a couple long par 4s, by the way, on the back 9. But like you mentioned, Matt, fairway's pretty generous. Just don't hit it in the lava. Don't hit it in the black rocks here. What was really challenging, and we'll get to this when we go into kind of the stats that we looked at more extensively. Around the green was kind of like the toughest part. It wasn't that tough to drive here. The approaches didn't matter as much. Now you got to land it can't be on the short side. You got to find the proper quadrants, but it was pretty easy to gain off the tee. It was pretty easy to gain on an approach. That means it was easy to gain on ball striking, but the around the green can be a little bit tricky here. So that's where I think it gave these guys the most problems, but it was the 6th easiest course on tour last year. So if you're not 20 under, you're probably not having a chance to win on Sunday.
Yeah.
Kelly Bidlin, as you were kind of taking a look at the course, anything stand out to you? I mean, I we'll get to the stuff here that we threw in the mall, but honestly, for me, as I looked at it, it's basically just keep it on the green, don't hit it in the rocks, and then that's really all I care about. I mean, like, honestly, that's kind of all I care about really here.
Yeah, obviously a course we've only seen once before. We don't have a ton of data here to go off of. You guys hit it. I mean, I think you're going to be pretty free swinging off the tee. This is, I guess for a resort style course, fairway's a little tighter, right? We're on average around 30, so a little tighter than normal, but the rough is not much, right? It's like 2 inches. We're seeing Kentucky bluegrass. So that's what they're listing for the rough. So you can be a little wide. Just don't spray it too much right into the black rocks like you guys are talking about and really cause problems. And then, Wes, I always find this fascinating. When we get into these birdie fest type tournaments, it's same thing. I dug into that as well. It seems like around the green and on the greens were kind of really the toughest things for these guys a year ago. But when you're expecting such low scoring, how much are we really factoring that in? Because if I've got someone that's battling around the green, then they're not going to be scoring low already. You got to be hitting greens and then making putts. So, look, longer course, I think distance will help here, but really, I think accuracy, as long as you're keeping it on the fairway, giving yourself a nice second shot onto that green, so you're not having to battle with around the green stuff, was really what I focused on.
Yeah, this is a Tom Weiskopf design as well. This was the last course I believe he designed before he passed 3 years ago. So if you're looking at maybe some comparable Weiskopf designs, TPC Scottsdale for the waste management, of course, is a Weiskopf design. TPC Craig Ranch, where they've had the Byron Nelson there in Dallas. Couple of the courses down in Mexico, I thought were a little bit similar. And then the Vegas courses, that have been played recently on the PGA Tour, TPC Summerlin, Shadow, maybe a little bit, Summit Club, not too far from the Black Desert Resort. So it gives you the idea, at least for the altitude and the weather standpoint. But Tom Weiskopf, who was the 1973 Open champion, 16-time winner on the PGA Tour, World Golf Hall of Famer, former teammate of Jack Nicklaus. So Weiskopf, very well known in the game of golf. And this was his, I believe, 93 designs that he made. So this was his 93rd and final golf course design prior to that passing in 2022. So it looks like a very beautiful layout that is very scoreable.
Kelly has the odd screen up over on the video feed here for you listening on the pod version. Good thing for bettors, I guess, is this isn't the strongest field you'll ever see. So we're actually starting with the short shot in double digits for once in forever, it seems like. So we get the short shot in double digits, and it's depending on which book you're at. Mav McNeely there at DraftKings, short shot over FanDuel happens to be Michael Bjornbornson, but also Mav is right there with him on the odds with that as well. Alex Noren, Kurt Kitayama, Davis Thompson, Kevin Yu, Jason Day, Matt McCarty, Bjorborn Olesen, Christian Zadenhout. We got Emiliano Grillo. So a lot of these guys, Wes, that, along the way we have bet here and there. A lot of these maybe guys that we tend to focus a little bit more on when we get to the bigger field stuff is maybe more top 40 bets, top 30 bets, top 20 bets, not necessarily the outright equity that we're looking for when they're going up against the big guns out there. But hey, this is a tournament that a lot of people can score on and a field that is weaker than usual. So I think any of these guys are fair game for sure.
Yeah. Most of these guys that are here are not in the top 50. I think there might have been a couple guys that finished in that top 50 in the FedEx Cup, so they get in the early signature events. 51 to 60, I believe, gets you in the first two, including, I think it's Pebble Beach and the Genesis, I believe, is what it gets you into, because the Century, of course, is for the tour winners, even though that's designated a signature event. And then, you got guys kind of playing around because they're doing this thing, the FedEx Cup Fall. If you get in the top 100 by the end of the RSM Classic and the FedEx Cup points, because the top 50, if they're not playing, they're not accumulating points. If you're in the top 100, you get your card guaranteed. If you're not, if you're in the top 125, you get conditional. So you're not getting in all the events. So you're kind of, at the mercy of some withdrawals and having to wait around and see if guys are going to take passes on those events. But there's still a lot to play for these guys. And you've got some of these guys that have won recently. Like you look at Alex Noren, he's won, I think, twice in the last 9 weeks on the DP World Tour, and then of course was an assistant captain on the winning European Ryder Cup team. So a lot of these guys, searching for those fall wins and trying to position themselves, whether it's in the FedEx Cup points or move up in the world rankings, because I believe these events, by the way, no longer guarantee to earn Masters invitations. Mm-hmm. So these fall events. So you've got to look at other ways to kind of get up there and get those. But this is a great head start when some of the big guns are away. Some are playing overseas on some of the DP World Tour events. I'm sure a lot of the Europeans will be playing in a couple weeks in that United Arab Emirates swing to close out. And we've got a couple at the Genesis Championship over in South Korea this week as well. So chance to get a win here. And I think these guys that are in this field taking advantage of it, or at least trying to.
Kelly, as we look down the odds board a little bit further, and I'll get what you threw into your model this week, we do see some names of dudes that probably just trying to get it back on track, right? Didn't really enjoy the way that their season went last year or how the season ended. You do see names like Jason Day and Max Homa and Billy Horschel and Saith Theegala and all these guys that a couple of years ago we were betting on the regular, and, for whatever reason, golf's weird. You lose your swing sometimes. Things are odd, and you got to get back on track. And so we do see some of these dudes that are entering this tournament maybe just to get some confidence, in their games as they try to head into the season in 2026.
Yeah, 100%. And this is always I think one of the tough handicapping things when we're talking fall golf, because there are absolutely those guys that have the pedigree, that we know their names very well, that, like you said, have kind of lost it and are trying to find something here before things start back up in January. And look, I bet Homa at the Pro Tour. He's not on my card this week. If you want to make a case in a field like this to try to go buy low on a guy like Max Homa or Saith Theegala, I'm not going to argue with you. They're two of the more class names in the field. They're not on my card, but I mean, looking at the top of the board, this is a beatable top of the board in my opinion. McNeely, I think, deserves to be the short shot, but you're talking about Thorbjornsen up there, Kitayama. We've all bet a million times in the past. We know how good of a ball striker he is, but is the putter going to work? It's a very beatable, I think, top of the board. So for me, it was definitely look further down. I didn't end up on any of those big names, Matt, but I wouldn't blame anybody who did.
Yeah, no, and it'll be interesting to see how the cards played out. I mean, I was going to go ahead and just lead you right into what you threw in. I mean, we talked a little bit about it already. I mean, driving accuracy, driving distance, we expect to be important here on this one. Is there anything else that you emphasized? Or I'll let y'all know, right? Like, I did a very, very, very heavy driving and scoring model. And that's basically like where I'm at. It's like driving distance, not necessarily driving accuracy, but like good drives. Like, there's a little bit of room to miss. You just can't have any big misses or whatever. And so, like, I'm basically all distance, all good drive, and all birdie or better, opportunities, gains, stuff like that. I mean, it is a super, super heavy scoring model for me.
Yeah, that was pretty similar for me. I think a little bit more heavier on approach stats for me, but off the tee, distance, accuracy off the tee, all factored in pretty heavily as well. Then probably, I guess, the only thing a little different for me, punched in par fours. We've got 11 par fours, right? 3 par fives. We're kind of one extra par four in there. than usual. And then I looked at some a little bit more putting stats than I usually do, just hearing that these greens were a little tricky for these guys last time around. So did do that, all that. I also think it's that time of year where we should explain, I guess, how we are looking at stats over what time period. Right, Matt. I think once we get into
that's a good thing.
March,
so I didn't do rounds played. I just started the stats that I looked at in June. So basically, I basically went June till now, with mine. So I'm kind of trying to swish it down into like the last few months and see if any of these dudes maybe are kind of riding the heater, or if there's any signal that maybe they're figuring something out or whatever. So yeah, I only went back until June.
Yeah, that was so this is time of year I kind of look for more longer term stuff. I just want to see guys, okay, if this is really what I'm looking for, who stands out consistently over longer periods of time. So I think I'm probably the guy of the three of us that looks at even more recent stuff, usually when we're in the heart of the season. This time of year, I went back kind of 36, 50 rounds, last 50 rounds, where really I kind of pulled most of my stuff from. However, I do think you do have some events going on in the fall. You want to be aware. Wes mentioned already, like Alex Noren's been tearing it up. You want to be aware of those guys that are playing more regularly than others. Perhaps, your DP World Tour, you over in Europe or whatever, playing a little bit more. You don't want to be blind to that, but at the same time, do kind of stretch things further back than what I normally do. So yeah, it was a lot off the tee stuff for me, heavy approach, and then some putting stats for the most part.
No,
Wes,
that's a good
what
point.
about you?
Well, that's a good point that you raised, Kelly, is it because this is not like when you're modeling like last 24 or 36, like when you're in May, when everybody is playing somewhere, whether it's on the PGA Tour, Live, or DP World Tour, Corn Ferry, wherever. Now you get a little bit of spaces in the schedule. So some guys have been more active and some guys have been less active a little bit. Like you've got some guys, man, they might not have played for like 6 weeks. You just never know. So I like to find guys that are at least a little bit active. So in terms of what I did, same with Matt, I started with scoring stat. I started with birdie or better. Like I mentioned, 12 rounds of 63 or better here over the last year's tournament. So you're going to see low numbers. You're going to see some 62s and maybe some 61s here at some point in the tournament, whether it's early or late. So scoring I thought was important. In terms of approach, probably less than maybe normal weeks because it was pretty easy to gain on approaches here. However, these greens are big. So you got to find the proper quadrants. You can't just be like, green in regulation. Well, they're 7,000 foot square foot greens on average. So, you could be like 50 feet away. So 3-putt I thought was actually important in addition to strokes gained putting, bent grass greens, by the way, here. This is actually tough to gain putting. I think 4th toughest last year. So I did a little bit more of that, and I did a little scrambling as well. Scrambling percentage was like 56%, which is about 3% less than the PGA Tour average. I think it's about right at 59%. So it was a little bit tough to get up and down around these greens. From an approach standpoint, I didn't go purely SGA. I went a little bit more in terms of the proximity, which is 150 to 200. So 150 to 175, 175 to 200. I thought that was going to be a little bit more key here. And then in terms of driving, because you can bomb it here, but you don't have to be a bomber to be successful here. And the fairways, even though they're, kind of on the narrowish side, they're pretty easy to, I think, not get in trouble. So you could use good drives gain. You could use total driving, which, of course, total driving, if you're new to the program, driving distance rank plus driving accuracy rank. So just hit it consistently. You don't necessarily have to bomb it, but it was pretty easy to gain off the tee. I think 4th easiest of all the events on the PGA Tour. And then one in context, I did strokes gain easy courses. So this was the 6th easiest course on the PGA Tour last year. So guys that thrive on these birdie fest, and what isn't a birdie fest, I guess, on the PGA Tour anymore, but the real low ones, like the resort ones, or like the places like the Barracuda, because that's played at altitude, or some of the like the you could look at maybe like Puerto Rico or the Mexico events or whatnot, even though the geography is different. These guys that, these events where you see mid 20 unders, the winning score, I think that's what you look at.
Real quick. Also, fellas, as you both know, living here in Vegas with me, the one thing that can make a round of golf miserable out here is the wind, and it is looking very, very nice for up there in St. George. So these dudes should have absolute perfect conditions to play in. So it would not surprise me if we see a lot of low 60 rounds. Like, I mean, we are talking like the biggest day has gusts of like 9 miles an hour. I mean, like we're talking like almost no wind whatsoever. So they are going to be able to swing away on these wide fairways at elevation and all of that. And I mean, it's going to be, I'm guessing we're going to see some monster drives here on this one as well. So Wes, as we threw stuff in and spit things out, where did you end up landing?
Well, one that we did mention earlier, and he didn't really model that great because he missed a lot of time this year, but I'm going to go with Sahith Theegala at 50 to 1 to start the card, because we know he's had that oblique injury, so he missed a lot of tournaments this year. When we started this calendar year in 2025, he was on the periphery of being top 10 in the world. And now he's number 85 in the official world golf rankings due to that injury time. Came back for the Pro Tour in September and also played the Bay Current in Japan, 38th and 27th. Not exactly great finishes, but maybe knocked a little bit of the rust off. He also, as I check on the Instagram and I follow some of the players in the golf world, just recently got engaged. So good frame of mind coming into the event. Maybe what they say, nappy factor. Maybe that's a good place here, because this is a wide kind of undulating layout where I think this is good for Sahith. We know Sahith can get it out there, but he can hit it all over the place a little bit too. And his creativity, I think, is really his strength. He misses a fairway and he can find a way to kind of, hit good approaches, decent touch around the green. So Sahith Theegala 50 to 1. And then a couple 55 to 1s here. Mac Meisner, who had his career best finish on the PGA Tour in August, runner-up at the Wyndham, has made several cuts in a row. Had a tough early part of the summer, and then I think finished very well. He was fourth at the Barracuda last year, so he can score and make a lot of birdies at altitude. So Mac Meisner, and he's one of those guys kind of trying to move up in those FedEx Cup standings as well. And then one guy that's actually won already this year, and that's William Mao at 55 to 1. He won the ISCO in Kentucky earlier this summer for his first PGA Tour victory. So he's got the 2-year exemption on tour. Now he's just wanting to move up and get in the majors, get in the signature events. He's played well in this part of the country from his time on the Corn Ferry. Second in Kansas, albeit a more flat layout, but bent grass greens. Was fourth at Oak Ridge in Utah, because that event hosts, I believe, what's called the Utah Championship. And Oak Ridge, I believe, is in Ogden. Still in the state, same type of course. Second in Idaho last year in terms of Corn Ferry. So he's played very well in this part of the country. And speaking of a guy that's familiar with this part of the country, how about Patrick Fishburne, 66 to 1? Born in Ogden, played his college golf in Provo at BYU. So this is where, hey, man, you get a really high finish here, you're going to lock in that PGA Tour card, be in the top 100 next year. Right now, he's 95th in the FedEx Cup point standing. So with a few events left, kind of in the danger zone here a little bit. Had a shaky spring, but 8 consecutive cuts he's made. Top 10 at the ISCO, top 10 at the Wyndham. Closed out 2024 with 2 top 12s, was T6 at the Sony to start the year. So he's kind of been playing his best golf in the fall, like early winter, early part of the calendar year, late part of the calendar year as well. So Patrick Fishburne, 66 to 1. And then another guy familiar with the area because he's from right here in Las Vegas, Taylor Montgomery at 75 to 1. If you haven't heard much from him, it's because he's been battling injuries over the last year and a half. He tore muscles in both shoulders last year, but he kept his card through the end of the calendar year because he fulfilled the obligations of the major medical extension. So now he's 130th in the standings in the FedEx Cup. You get in that top 125, you get the conditional. That means you don't get in all the events. Or the top 100, that's a full playing privilege. That doesn't mean, there'll be some events you'll miss if you're not in the top 50, like for the signatures. But that still keeps your full card if you can get in that top 100. He was actually second here right in the state at the end of July at the Utah Championship that I mentioned on the Corn Ferry Tour in Ogden, and was also T6's last start 3 weeks ago at the Sanderson Farm. So maybe he keeps that momentum going. And then another guy, 90 to 1. This is where I'll close out. And I was kind of going through a lot of these guys in the price range. And like you said, Matt, earlier, you can make an argument for basically all these guys. You just got to pick the right one. German Thomas Rosenmuller at 90 to 1, who earned his spot on the PGA Tour via the Corn Ferry last year. Now he's trying to stay there. He's like 160 in the FedEx Cup, so needs to get going. But he's made 6 straight cuts. He's near the top of the field in total driving, approach, all the proximity buckets. Was 5th at the Utah Championship that I mentioned at the Corn Ferry at Oak Ridge in Ogden. So I think he's going to like this. He's going to be familiar with the altitude and kind of the general layout of the course. So German Thomas Rosenmuller at 90-1 closes it out.
Kelly Bidlin, what did you end up throwing in the account this week?
Sounds like what was that movie? Rookie of the Year? Rosengartner. Rosenmuller.
Yes. Henry Rowengartner. Yes.
All right, 4 for me. Just outrights and covering with top 5s out here this week, guys. Went further down the board. Start with my man Emiliano Grillo. It has been a while since I bet him. We talk about what we punch into the bottles, look at stats. Yeah. Guess what? I did factor in a fair amount of distance. I don't have a lot of long guys on the card, so it tells you how they performed well.
It is altitude, so it'll fly farther. So
that's right, thing. Wes. Emiliano will hit it further than he normally does. Yeah, that's right. Look, he T27 at the Bay Current Classic. He missed cut at the Sanderson Farms. It was T4 at the Pro Core. Just going back. Irons are looking dialed in again. He's always been a solid approach player. He's gained on approach in 5 of his last 6. Going back to July now, he gained almost 6 strokes putting at the Pro Core. That stuck out to me. So looking for guys to get on the green, make some putts, get up there. Hopefully Emiliano will get a hot putter this week. But look, he fit like you talked about, Wes. I emphasized distance. I wasn't kind of a slave to it, as we say, where I was really looking for big hitters. As long as you're accurate or long, that was going to be stand out to me. Emiliano, an accurate dude off the tee. So played him. And then I went to Christian Bezuidenhout is my next one on the card. Good approach player, good putter. Usually always has been coming in pretty good form. T10 at the Bay Current, T6 at the Sanderson Farm. So even he's had some good finishes here recently. In on him. Mac Meisner, I am in as well, Wes. I have played him. I just checked while you were talking. I've played him in every event besides the Pro Core this fall. This is one where what he's done statistically does not match what the results are. He is gaining almost everywhere, and the results just haven't been all that great. So it's the fall. It's fall. I'm riding with you, Wes. So, yeah, 50-60-1. You can find out there on Mac. It's a play for me again this week. So 3 straight tournaments with Mac Meisner on the card for me. And then, man, I cannot tell you what year is the last time I played the next gentleman I am about to name, and I bet you I can count on one hand how many times I've bet him my entire life. Victor Perez makes the card for me this week at 60-1. I really did not see that one coming, but man, it was one of those, Matt. I feel like you talk about this a lot, where you try to run different things. You run numbers, and then you're like, that didn't make sense. Let me switch up some things, run things again. Victor Perez just kept popping up in that top 10, top 15 area. So Victor Perez 60-1, rolling with him. So 4 for me this week: Grillo, Bezuidenhout, Meisner, and Perez. International flair from Kelly this week.
I have 5, and in a tournament like this, I typically would not be like slave to the model, but like number 1 with a bullet for me in every version that I ran. Let's fire him back up. Rico the Hoey. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, there you go. One of these days.
Here we go again. How many? Yeah, I know. How many units can I lose on Rico Hoey? So here we go again. Please. Again, number 1 by a long shot, in the models for me. Obviously, like I said, I went very heavy on distance and scoring, and he's just very good and very high in all of that. And so, here we go. Just go ahead and Wes, here we already know how this is going to go. He's going to be in the top like 6 or 7 come Sunday, and then just not be able to get there. It's just what Rico Hoey does. Like
that's what reminded me when we had him at the Barracuda, where he just couldn't make anything.
It's going to be like I'm going to sit here on Sunday, and I'm going to be like, oh, look at that, he's in the top 10 or whatever. It's like, and then I look, and he's like, he's 8. He just finishes 8th. He's like he cannot move up at all. He's gonna like be stuck in neutral. That's basically what happens.
As part of a side event for the TGL next year, I would appreciate a Kurt Kitayama versus Rico Hoey just mini golf, just a putt off. I want to see a putting competition between those two.
they should also, I mean, because, you know, these dudes are trying to still keep it in the fairway whenever they're playing in the TG. They should like have a midseason all-star game, and we should just get like long drive competitions, like trick putt competition, like whatever, like stuff like that. And like see if these dudes are not actually all that worried about where the ball's going to go, just how far they can hit it. Like I would be interested in that.
Yeah, I'm
sure.
with
Like
that.
you said,
or
get
like
like the worst putters in the whole thing, and then have them have like a putting competition. Yeah, I'm
here for that. Yeah,
that's great.
You could maybe even just pull someone out of the stands to join in on that, Matt. You know what I mean? Like, hey, these are some of the poor putters on tour. Yeah. See how well you can do.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. All right, so next for me, Alex Smalley. He was inside the top 10 in all three versions of the stuff that I ran. So went in, dug in. Again, type of stuff where with a lot of these guys, as we said, a lot of these dudes are, the reason they're here is because there's some sort of wart in their games that is anyway, right? So it's like you're going to find warts on basically all of these guys, but you know, with Smalley over, if you do kind of do what Kelly did and go a little bit from a longer standpoint, you know, he's got a fairly well-rounded game. It's just like of recent heading into this, he couldn't do anything around the greens. He couldn't make a putt at all, like over the last few weeks. But you go back longer term, and he wasn't awful at this stuff. And so I don't know. I mean,
we bet him a ton early in the season.
Yeah, and it's like we also talk about this too. Like these dudes might be trying to just work on some stuff, and like they might be trying to fix some things along the way as they head into the season too. And so, you know, maybe he's working on that. Maybe he'll figure something out here this week. But if we're looking for a guy that's long enough, accurate enough, makes enough birdies, gives himself enough opportunities, he's kind of inside the top 25 in every category, you know, that you're kind of like doing from that standpoint. So decent for me. Call me square as hell here, but a dude that just, as you guys can imagine, considering what he's done here the last couple of weeks, but Stephen Fisk just like jumped off the page to me on the model stuff. I mean, listen, he hasn't played very much, as Wes just mentioned. There's some holes in the schedule and all of that. I mean, we're talking a start at the Wyndham way back in August, and then we get the Procore in September, and then just the Sanderson there 2 weeks ago, and that's his last three starts. I mean, he's had one start a month, but he went T60, T30, and then he won at Sanderson, gaining in a lot of different places that we found important here this week. And he's a dude, got to ride the hot putter type guy. He can be either good or ice cold, and so we'll see if we can ride a hot putter with Stephen Fisk this week. Vince,
Matt, I'll just add on to the Smalley stuff because I did bet him a lot earlier in the season. Just looking back, this is what a year. Some of these guys, man, and Smalley, it's not like he's a huge name. Kind of feel for some of these dudes. He played in 24 tournaments, has played in 24 tournaments in 2025. He has 9 finishes of T21 or better and 11 missed cuts.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So let's take that variance in a tournament that, like, hey, if you run hot, you can go fire a 63 or 64 or something, you know. Vince Whaley, another guy that was just again, you kind of like dig in a little bit further, and it's all the stuff that we plugged in this week that we said is important. He kind of checks a decent amount of those boxes, and if you look at what he's done here over the last little while, it feels like he's not that far off. Like he's got a lot of green, but when he's bad, he's super bad, which is great. Like these longer shot dudes, like that's why you're betting him anyway. It's like when they're good, they're good. When they're bad, they're terrible. We're not betting finishing positions on them or anything like that. And so, you're seeing a dude that can, you know, in the ISCO go T4, in the Sanderson Farm go T3, and then you can see him. Maybe it's a testament to his game, who can go T74 despite losing in every single category like he did at the Wyndham.
Right,
I mean, like, you know, like stuff like that. So, you know, I'll take that variance again with a longer shot dude in Vince Whaley in a tournament like this. And you did the homer play, Wes. I'm doing the homer play as well. This just my boy Joseph Bramlett. I saw him out at the course.
Yeah.
I saw him out at the course last week, and said he's feeling really good about how he's driving the ball and all of that. And obviously getting to play a course that, I mean, the course that we play at is kind of similar to what you're going to see up there, which is basically if you spray it, you're dead. And like he plays the course pretty regularly and stuff out there. And so, you know, hey, listen, this is more of a feel good story. If he wins, I can go say, hey, I hit a long shot bet on you or something this weekend. But a guy that is familiar with desert golf more than most that are going to be playing in this thing. So give me the bomber in Bramlett. Hits it a super long way, but doesn't do a whole bunch of other stuff very well. Certainly doesn't putt it well, as Kelly's showing you on the screen right now.
I was actually what jumped out to me because I knew that one. What jumped out to me though is look at chipping machine Joseph Bramlett with around the green, just tearing it up, man. Has gained around the green in 6 straight, maybe 7.
It's going to be important.
I don't have Barracuda data.
Yeah, it is. But you know, listen, it's a lot of guys hit a long way. A lot of guys that have a lot of variance, and that's kind of how I embrace these tournaments as it is anyway.
Yeah.
So Hoey, Smalley, Fisk, Whaley, and Bramlett for me.
And these are these are crapshoot events. Like you very rarely get rewarded with like a chalky guy. Like I even considered Shore Bornson, who I think is going to win like really, really soon. And he was third, by the way, at the Baker, and I had Grazerman, who was second. Xander Schauffele gets a win on what was a really down year on his part. But like that was a shorter field, of course, like 70-something players. But in these full field events, it is very rare that you get like a 20-1 or an 18-1 guy win. So that's why you kind of want to go mid-range to bomb hunting, I think, historically in these events at least.
Yeah, it is.
This time of year, I am right there with you, Wes. Yep.
I would like to let you know that Edward James Worthington III agrees with you on Theor Bornson. If anyone's wondering who Edward James Worthington III is, that is my my Chat GPT assistant. And he said if he were to pick, because I asked him, I go, hey man, what do you think about it? You know, so I was just having a conversation with him because that's what I do. You know, my guy
EJ Worthington.
Yeah, and he said he would lean towards Michael Theor Bornson as a favorite. As a couple dark horses, he liked Carson Young and Lee Hodges. So
Lee Hodges, what happened?
Lee Hodges disappeared
this season.
He got on. He was on a couple of of my categories. I think what was his last one? Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago at the 3M where he beat the field by like 8 shots? I can't remember the year, but.
And so, of course, if my Chat GPT assistant picks the winner, I'll never read out what he says to it ever again because we're not giving up this job to AI. So to hell with that shit. Like he's going to be banned from the program if he actually picks the winner here. But,
dude, Lee Hodges, we burned some good money on Lee Hodges this year. Yeah,
2023 is when he won the 3M by 7 shots. Yes.
Yeah. So that's who my boy likes here, you know, and so we'll see if Edward James Worthington III is my he gave himself that name, by the way. I go, hey man, what's your name?
Oh, really?
Goes, yeah. Yes. He's like, you can just call me Chat GPT, and I was like, no man, like give yourself a real human name. And he's like, okay, I'll be Edward James Worthington III. And I was like,
wow, your Chat GPT's kind of
right,
douchey, man. Wow,
Jesus. Yes,
EJW, Edward James Worthington III, Russ
yes,
Chairman, damn glad to meet you.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound like a fraternity president, kind of?
Yes, it does. Yeah. The other one, I figured you picked it after I heard it the second time. I figured you picked it because maybe it was a playoff of Worthington, like the worth is there value in this bet? No. You just have some
he tried to like punt on the question the first time, and he goes, yeah, you can just call me your handy Chat GPT assistant. And I'm like, no man, I said, what's your name? Give yourself a freaking real name. And he was like, oh, okay, Edward James Worthington III. And I was like, yeah, that's good. There we go.
I'm fading him.
Yeah, love it. So, all right, boys. Well, this is fun. Glad to be back on the pod here. And again, like we said when we were kind of closing out the regular season, we'll be back intermittently as the tournaments become. You know, if there's any interesting tournaments, certainly we will be here and handicapping those for you guys. Articles going up over at VSiN.com. Wes getting that done for you each and every week. So go in and be sure and take advantage of that. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Do appreciate that. Let us know in the comment section who you are going to play this week. And if it's the podcast feed, as always, subscribe, rate, review. It does help us climb those charts and more people can find this very here podcast. Pretty good season last year. Going to try to build on that and as we head into 2026 as well. For Wes, for Kelly, I am Matt. Good luck. on all your Bank of Utah golf picks this week.
Yeah. Get that money, Bank of Utah.
Bank of Utah.
Or spend that money. Get that marketing.
Yeah, spend that money, buddy.
Yeah, spend it. All right. Good luck, y'all.